Hello, hello. Let me get to the right screen here. How's everybody doing on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon? Let's go ahead and get right into it. I have also went ahead and added the link to follow the 5XL. If you haven't already, go ahead and go look in the description there and you'll find the link to all of that awesome stuff I've been talking about. But as one of my people who watch this pointed out to me, I didn't actually provide a link, so this guy. Um, the link is in the description. Go check it out. There's so much good stuff there, and there's a little something for any kind of entertainment that you're looking for. The platform itself is just so expansive and has so much to offer that it would not just be doing me a solid, but you'd be doing yourself a solid to go check it out. Moving right into the light message for today, we're going to be talking about the art of the withdrawal and what that means in the current celestial climate. There is something to be said about, moving forward, having momentum, and, that drive to keep pushing, pushing, pushing. But when do you advantageously say, not today? I need to let things simmer. I need to let things develop. I need to give the universe an opportunity to give all of the energy that I've been putting into these, desires, manifestations to take root and be nourished without me having a hand on it. And I think it goes back to what I was talking about last week. Fear and the ego and having that need for control and really pushing to have that control out of necessitating, a fear of losing or affirming that, rooted lack within ourselves. It's an everyday practice to reach and grow. Like I said, I came from poverty, so I every day wrestle with the poverty mindset of the fear of not having enough. That in my monkey mind in my mind is like, still, it's the first. Do you have rent? Are your lights going to be on? Do you have enough money to make it through the week? Without the sort of foresight to say, oh yeah, we're making money this week, or I have more income coming my way. There's enough for me. There's enough for everybody around me. There's so much love to be experienced in so many different well springs of my life, not just, romantic, but, financial attraction. There's also spiritual attraction happening. There's the romantic attraction happening. There's, social attraction happening. So where do you step back and say, okay, we've set our course and we've contacted the people that we need to contact. Can you really take the drawback and say, let me do some self inner work? Let me compose myself for the next chapter. And let me get my thoughts together to really be present when this big, happening is set upon me. So those are some of the guidelines that we're talking about today as far as positioning ourselves for the success of, the having. Because a big part of manifestation is the completion. We talk a lot about the process, but really wanting the sandwich is half the battle. But having the sandwich in hand is the payoff that we all seek and desire, and the having of is really what it's about, and that's fulfillment. Not to just say it's just a sandwich, because I'm talking about so much more, and aspirations of life, and having, all these big dreams that we all have, because we are such a creative, consciously connected generation. And it's not just one, subsect. This age of Scorpio that we're in is really, I'm talking about Pluto and Scorpio, is really about lifting the mystery and wanting to reconnect with the inner self and the ascended self behind the ego. So we're not really conquering for land anymore. We're conquering for peace of mind. We're conquering the self. And that, even in itself, sounds a little colonialistic. So let me draw it back and reword that. we're reconnecting with the inner self, and showing that we can step forward to a new paradigm with an open heart and an open mind. So, David, 5 seconds ago, no, we're not conquering, we are allowing. So moving forward, Saturn's in the air right now. There's a lot of energy of karma. What we've given, we are now sowing. And so again, it's stepping back and allowing that to blossom. You can't pull a seed from the earth and, command it into growth. You have to continually, do process with the seed that you've planted yesterday. So what are you doing today to continue the cultivation of said seed? It's not a race to the finish line. It's having the patience for that due process. And a lot of people, they really don't have that. They don't have they want it today. They wanted it yesterday. They wanted, the house, the relationship. They wanted the money, the trips overseas. They wanted it all yesterday. But that's out of their alignment because they've not done the work yesterday to be ready for that real money, that real relationship, that real, surrounding of people that are of that vibration. So you got to really be willing to allow yourself to see where you're at. There's faking it till you make it, but then there's honesty. And honestly, did you do the work yesterday to have all of that which you desire today? Some heavy stuff. And it takes a lot to break through the illusion of ego to be 100% with yourself. This is where I'm at. I wish I was here, but this is where I am, and this is what I got to work with. So let me do the work as I withdraw and settle into this current reality in appreciation and in gratitude. So that way tomorrow I'm not found wanting more and more and more. There's a difference between what we desire and what we want. Because what we want is rooted in lack. It's rooted in attachment. It's rooted in not having of it. You have, 100K on your way next year. You make 60 to 100K in a fiscal year, so you want another 100K. Okay. But what are you doing with that 100K or 60 to 100K that's going to get you to 200K next year? You see what I mean? So it's like, it's appreciating and utilizing. Like, appreciation isn't even enough to cover it. It's really utilizing the rooted reality. And that's, in a way, appreciating what you have. I'm almost like unconsciously putting into like financial terms, like, yes, your desire, your gratitude appreciates. It doesn't depreciate. Oh man. So really find yourself rooted and do the work internally to cultivate the appreciation of today, so that tomorrow, you have more value with that gratitude. It has blossomed further to take you farther, and so forth and so on and so forth and so on. Over the next few days, the moon is really actually in that energy of financial abundance, and there's an awareness that we all need to have right now with our finances. Material, the capital gains, the man energy. Not man as in men, but, the man. The language that is spoken, by those who seek to control through fear is money. So right now there's a really big strain, and you see it across the board. Stocks go up, they go down. House prices are going up, up, up. Cost of gas up, up, up. Everything's on the rise. Inflation over the next 20 years is going to be astronomical. 100K is really like probably having 50K. And even that's not a lot. So it's a very dynamic day to day when you look at it that way, and how much transience we are living in. Not just financially, but arbitrarily. The world is in massive, massive flux. So it's important to bring it into the relative space, and again, withdraw. Withdraw from putting your wants ahead of the desire. And the want may be go out to dinner, meet up with friends, hang out, buy drinks. But the desire is stability and safeness within your financial ability. So again, want is triggered by lack and what you don't have. So you're like, I want to have a nice meal, I want to have a nice time, how come I can't ever have nice things? But desire is, I want this stability. I don't want to be at war with my inner personal self. I don't want to be regretting tomorrow that I spent X hundred, to have that good time. It's not a bad thing. And again, it's not to paint the person who goes out and has a good time in a negative light. It's saying that today the celestial energies are not really aligned with that good time out tonight. It's more aligned with reservation. And so if you do want to go out, act with reserve. It's not going to be, drinks on me tonight. Just saying. It's going to be, I need to think about tomorrow and next week and the following week. Some of us ain't made it yet. If somebody's watching this and like, I don't need to worry about money like that, well, that's good for you. But some of us ain't made it yet. And we got to think about, next week and next week and next week. So again, there's a difference. The poverty mindset says, I don't have and I'm never going to have again. But the abundant mind is reminded, I'll always find it. So plan ahead. And remember, there is tomorrow when you plan ahead. So that's just some food for thought as far as your money matters. Especially when Saturn's around. Saturn's that, that dad energy. Make sure you put away, son. Ay. So the era of today is also doing what comes naturally. So when you find yourself in that mind space of, I never get to do this or I can't do that, do something that comes naturally, break out some art stuff, play some video games, go have conversations on the porch. Simple, small, uncostly, it doesn't have to be grandeur all the time. It can be, low key, which is oftentimes more rewarding than, the extrovert's paradise of boom, boom, boom. Let's go live it up, rap video lifestyle. Again, nothing wrong with it. It's just, sometimes that low key vibe is the real lifestyle. So moving along, though, we're going to be acknowledging this week what's working and what's not working. So look at the direction of relationships. Look at directions of your finances. It's all a bar graph. What has been inclined to progress you forward, and what's, really laborious to deal with. you have to make these discernments. And there's one thing to be said about lending out a hand to help, but there's another with being dragged down into the bog and being consumed. So look at that. And it's not just people. Again, it goes back to your finance, it goes back to your health, it goes back to your well-being. Personally, I found myself eating my feelings a little more than I should have this week. I struggle with inner worth, especially with body dysmorphia. So, could I have done things better? Absolutely. Am I going to ridicule myself and tear down my entire process moving forward? No. I just have to do better. Again, I have to show that accountability and withdraw from the habitualness of it all and recomprehend my entire plan. So, it's not easy to do. It is not. It takes a lot of composure to put the stop on something that feels good in the moment. So, which leads me into the next part of this, which is affirming your boundaries. Another thing that is very difficult, especially when there's good times to be had. You want to do this in a way that prevents you from being susceptible to the I dare you mindset. So triggering stuff like, you shouldn't, spend that money, or you shouldn't go out to eat at that place, but, wouldn't it be fun to? Like, I dare you to go against, that safe place you're providing for tomorrow's energy vibrations. Let's just rustle things up. Like, stay away from that today. Somebody coaxing you out. Come on, da 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 da. Stay away from that. Which leads into stretching yourself thin, being there for too many, and even in your own internal world. Like, what are you doing? Are you an octopus on roller skates? Do you know what that means? It means, do you have so many things going on that nothing gets traction? I think back in 2013, I had an invention. I was trying to write a book. I was trying to build my massage therapy practice. I was getting into energy specialism. But what was I really doing? I was talking about all that stuff. But there was nothing taking traction until I chose, out of all of these talents that I have, what I'm going to cultivate. And so today I'm living very fruitfully. Highly favored. Highly, highly favored. Another thing that is on the table for discussion is stooping low to those expectations. So the I dare you friend, or somebody that you feel has called you out, or you see some injustice and you want to let them have it, and not the day for it. I think we all see a handful of things that make us want to pop off and go all the way left and just tell it how it is, and, F their feelings. But again, today is all about the art of withdrawal. And when we see this behavior, sometimes it's enough to let other people have that moment, because time, and again, we're in that karmic energy right now. What you put out is what you get back. So better believe that goes as true as it ever has for those who put out negative and want to bring people down and paint them in a bad light and make jokes at other people's expenses. So again, just make sure that you are putting out to reap benefits, not reap, catastrophe from one honored soul to another honored soul. We can do better, and we should be doing better. We already talked about minding your finances, but honoring your vulnerability. And I'm really talking to the gentleman right now when I say this, because it's very much so difficult to be a man in this age of technology and show vulnerability and show due process for your own personal journey without being ridiculed or put in a light that you've either done something wrong, that you've had to change your trajectory to be more mindful of yourself, or you have become, I guess, quote unquote, sissified, or you're betraying your masculine identity if you act in a vulnerable manner. So even I don't want to say even to the gentlemen, because also the ladies, because we live in the age of feminism, and more we're seeing not a rise in feminine power, but a trade-off of feminine energy for toxic masculinity. So you got these cis women who are one of the boys, so they will adopt toxic masculinity in exchange for their feminine mystique. So I'm talking to both when I say it's a time to really honor your vulnerability, and when you're not doing okay, to reserve a space again for withdrawal. I'm going to say it again probably 6 more times. Today is about the tactical withdrawal, because it's one thing to get those wisecracks in and say what you want to say and hit them where it hurts and really own the day. But it's quite another to analyze the space and remove yourself and say, not anymore, these ain't my people. You see how that energy just becomes void and dilute? That's when you've reclaimed yourself. So don't lose yourself. Reclaim yourself. Your authentic self. You owe it to yourself. As far as, the rest of the spectrum, transmasculine men also kind of do this as well. We'll start trading. I identify as transmasculine. It's a trade-off of feminine energy for toxic masculinity. And that's not the way. The divine masculine is really what you're after. Divine masculinity is owning up and accountability. And, very much the Lion King, Simba, everything the light touches is your kingdom moment is divine masculinity. So honor everything within your realm and hold sovereignty. That's divine masculinity. Toxic masculinity is, this is all mine, and I can do whatever the hell I want with it. With not so much sass as I just put into it. I don't know if I can reach for that. I'll have to get it later. So moving forward, honor that vulnerability within yourself. That's actually a very key factor in ascending into that divine masculinity. How would I feel if what this toxic masculinity that's been, placed on me, because it's a burden. Toxic masculinity is a burden that's been forced upon us by our fathers and our generational authority male figures. So make no mistake, it's just like racism. It's inherited. Children aren't born toxically masculine, nor are they born girl bosses, which is also a toxic trait, in case you didn't know. You have to really show that it's okay to not be okay. And that doesn't make you weak. That makes you mindful of the space around you. Be it stones thrown at you or bombs exploding around you, you know what your worth and your value is worth preserving. So get out of there. Withdraw. I'm going over my notes that I have put down for today's message. And as we continue, we're going to go into the vibrations now for the rest of the week, which again, mindfulness and not things to watch out for. I really don't resonate when these astrological forecasters they put that out there. You need to watch out for this negative energy. It's such a cliche to me that it's actually becoming toxic, and you'll find the astrological girl boss to be the highest defender. Because anything they don't agree with, it's negative energy and it doesn't serve their higher self. I see you, girl. It doesn't serve the authentic self to close yourself off, because we came to this reality to experience everything, and that includes to be in a world that doesn't fully accept us for who we are, to help and mold us into the fire. So again, as important as that feminine mystique is, the divine masculine and the steel hardening of the heart is important, because you can't let everything through. There are genuinely energies and spirits in this world that do want to just see you suffer. And I'm trying not to sound as ominous as that comes across, but it is very much that real. There's definitely people who just watch you waiting for your eventual slip up. So when that slip up comes, you better know who your tribe really is, because those are the ones who are going to help you up by the arms and say, keep going, you're doing something worth doing. You know, a little bit of that is from own experience, and a little bit of that is from being somebody who's lifted others up by the arms and said, keep going, because you're meant for more on this planet than just what you've been written off up until this point. And a lot of these energies that I've met that I've had to lift up by the arms, you know, I've always seen a spark in them that was just never lost, but always hidden behind what they had diluted their authentic selves with. So whether you are on one side or the other, just know that your soul came to permeate and grow and become the highest version of itself through all that. So don't go negating the hardships. If anything, you welcome it in and you let it rearrange your spiritual house. Otherwise, you become stagnant, you become scorned, you become forlorn. Women, do you hear me? You know, it's hard. And this is not to say let that toxic guy come over tonight. You know, or go out with your girlfriend that you know is trouble. Like, listen to those, listen to that too. Like, don't. This isn't a hall pass for you to go, you know, F it up tonight. What this is just your hardships haven't been for nothing, and there's some deep, deep wounds that, you know, there's no words to offer any kind of respite from trauma that has been dealt to the child versions of ourselves. But there's something to say about who we've grown into, that we can be that olive branch to that younger version of ourselves because of that steel hardening of the heart. So remember that it's important to go through these hard times in life, just as important as it is to have the good times and the high flying times. So if that doesn't speak for the vibrational alignment of the planet, then I don't know. And again, this isn't to, again, give a hall pass to all the mayhem and anarchy that's going on out there right now. It's just to give some kind of insight that what we will become as a result of all of this mayhem and the alignment of this planet as a result of all of said things is going to be a much higher vibration, because it demands it. Again, we're collective energy. We're connected consciously, you know, even if it is just through this World Wide Web. There's seconds between communication right now. So, again, moving through the mental energy, or the celestial energy of the day, we're going to start with some things that are going to be harder to align with. And like I said earlier, today's about really focusing on what comes easy. So these things, although they're going to be more difficult to achieve, they're not signs that you're not in alignment. They're not signs that you're doing anything quote unquote wrong. Across the board, these are going to be difficult to ascend to and align with, and that's having mental energy today. So if you needed a second cup of coffee and then you were still dragging, that's just where we're at. We're not, again, this is the time to withdraw. So if you had to go to work today and really flex your mental muscle, my heart goes out to you. You know, the desire to achieve is also going to, you know, be a factor in something that's difficult to aspire to today. You know, we have all of these plans let out, but we may look at everything around us and say, how is it going to be done? How am I going to do all of this and do it well? It's very consistent with the alignment of today. So if you're feeling like that, you're not doing anything wrong, you're not out of place, you're not out of alignment, you're actually on the path to something. So just sit with that feeling and see what it inspires you to tomorrow. Building character. And this moves into sort of that questioning of the inner self and the inner dialogue and the balance of the feminine mystique and the divine masculine within us. These are all difficult things to aspire to today. So I did not say that, you know, hey, shape up. It's time to get up and get out there and be a great person. Like, if it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for a lot of us to, you know, rise up and be us today. It's just not in us today. And that's okay, because it's not a day to be out there kicking butt. It's a day to internally, you know, be with the self. Something that will come easier and it's more keen to our own alignment is the appreciation of beauty. And if anything, that is something that I've been articulating this entire stream so far, is that gratitude and the beauty of the current reality and all that it's aspired to become because of how tragic its story is. And I think some of the best stories are some of the most tragic stories, you know. And in the deep-rooted reality, when we tell our history, there's so much tragedy. So many people did so many things in the name of, you know, a God that they had full faith in, a government that they really believed was the new world to be a part of. And, you know, there's great tragedy in having the veil lifted on all of that and the illusion broken. And now in the current reality, the tragedy of having to reconcile with genocides of entire civilizations and people in the name of these gods and governments. It's tragic. And in that, there's a beauty. Not a, you know, psychotic beauty, but in honoring the lives of those who we did lose. That this world saw very short-sighted the full life of tragedy. And that's not just globally, that's also internally. A lot of lives are cut short beyond what we can comprehend. You know, we don't know what divine purpose is. We can never know. So it's like having the rooted appreciation of today. So important. Something else that we're going to have difficulty aligning with today is learning how to be graceful. There's some things that I may be saying in this stream that are controversial, and I'm just sort of trying to get it out in a way that articulates it without sugarcoating it to the point where it sounds psychotic or sociopathic. At the same time, there is some things that have to be said just the raw, real, and this is just not the absolute because I say it. It's something that I'm feeling, and I'm just articulating it in a way that I hope is graceful. However, you know, there's a lot of hard truths out there. So I may not be as graceful as I think I'm coming across, and if anything I say is offended or is offensive, especially when I'm talking about gender identities that I don't identify with, racial constructs, social constructs that I don't identify with, it's just bring that to my awareness, and I hope to learn and grow and become ever more graceful with the way that I'm speaking to this camera. Oh, but then we get into good communication is an alignment, so maybe I'm not. So something that is going to be good today is talking things out. So get out there and again, don't go above and beyond stretching yourself thin and pouring money into stuff that's not going to have any help you have any productivity tomorrow. But definitely get out there and have some conversations. So, and again, with all this articulation and stuff, today is going to be difficult to align yourself outside of the abuse of power. Like, make sure, Billie Eilish, try not to abuse your power. I love that song. She's so good. I may just say this. On that note of abusive power, go listen to Power by Billie Eilish, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But no, it's people who have, the grounds to say, this is what's going to happen, this isn't what's going to happen. And that somebody depends on you, and that you do have a little bit more say in somebody else's life than they have the power to really hold accountability for themselves. Parents, I'm talking to you. You know, breadwinners in relationships, I'm talking to you. Anybody who has that sort of authoritative, and I'm even talking to myself. So it's not saying, well, I can, so what are you going to do about it? When you make somebody and belittle somebody or paint them in a way that berates or degenerates them, you do it to yourself, and you really put a image on yourself that says that's truly who you really are, huh? And the rest of those around you are going to see that, if that's how you treat those who are close to you. So if that's who you are and that's your authentic self, again, there's the steel hardening of the heart eventually comes to those that you abuse. And their day does come that they do, break those bonds. Unless they don't, and unfortunately we've lost way too many to those bonds of abuse. So if you can do anything, if you're in a position of power right now and you can do something to ease the hearts of those, again, it's that divine masculine holding sovereignty of the space that you have created, and not to have people living under you but living among you. So I'm really talking about letting loose the need for control. Moving forward from that, we're going into an alignment with the love of mystery. So again, we are all of that Pluto and Scorpio. Gen Z, millennials, and Gen X. And some of the boomers. Are all Pluto and Scorpio. Or Scorpio and Pluto. So there's this love of nuance when it comes to spirituality. There's this love of meditation. There's this love of uncovering the truth within. It's exciting to talk about. It's exhilarating to get to know the inner self and cultivate, your own psychic consciousness and start navigating a field of energy around yourself to not just bring about, the things that you desire, but also to align yourself with speaking truth and knowing where you're going and having energy, and being creative, it's all part of your inherent divine being. It's all stuff you signed up for. But like I said, in this world of control, access to that has been severely limited by those in control. So we only need to be able to cultivate ourselves enough spiritually to create for others. So again, that's why magazines, they have beauty ads to make you feel like you're not enough, because that creates them revenue. They have, fitness ads that make you feel like you are not enough. And then the models in those ads feel like they're not enough. So again, we live in a advertently limited, very like few selected get to really live it, but even those few selected are under the scrutiny of it's never enough and there's not enough. So do everything you can to lift yourself up and off of that, rock that they have you chained to. Start living a life that's enough. And it starts by saying, I'm enough. And these people around me are enough. And we're doing great. Again, so it's like, it's something that you should be willing to find a place within easily. It's the space of I'm enough. Moving forward is unrecognized genius. So this energy is sort of the prodigy within us all right now is struggling. And the great this or the great that we're aspiring to be, we're not feeling it today. But remember, it's just today, so don't let it be the end all say all, and pick it up, and don't rush after it today. It's all about that tactful withdrawal. Hardworking is also something we're just not feeling right now. This is a long one today, so if you're still here, let's just keep it trucking. Hard work today. I feel like I feel like today's stream is definitely a little bit more, is demanding a little more of my energy. But yesterday was extremely taxing. I took my dogs to get vaccinated, and I had to carry my cat, and I was walking my dog at the same time, and future set reference to future self, take them to appointments on different days. But I got us both there safely. I got us both home safely. And it was a lot. It was emotionally stressful. I had to watch them put a catheter in my dog to get a pee sample. And it was like, oh my God, what are you doing to my dog? But now it's like, it's all for the better. And they're going to see where he's at. And nothing's wrong with him. It's just, routine checkup. And I'm blessed because I'm able to afford a routine checkup for my dog. So get their vaccinations, make sure he's licensed and all that. So, but today was definitely a day that I just didn't want to do nothing. And that's just me being 100 and real with y'all. But again, this is something that I love to do. So once I started writing down, the presentation of it all, it kind of all came together. So although you may find it hard to find that inspiration, once it does come, just, if it comes naturally, let it come and enjoy it. Something else to be aware of is the self-indulgent. And this is not something that's going to be more of a difficulty in, but you will find it very easy to just overindulge and really go all the way in. Like I said, my diet as of late has been a little rickety. My eating times are way off, and I need to step back and kind of reanalyze. So this day of withdrawal is going to be very pivotal for me to, pinpoint, what it is I need to fine tune for success these next few weeks. Moving on down to the transits of the moon. For today specifically, we are having trouble aligning with personal drive, and we're feeling out of touch. This is going to be more illustrative of the morning energies going into the afternoon. The rest of the evening is all about changing routines, collection of ideas, focus on, gathering of people, property, places is going to be purveying through the night. Um, so you may be putting together a party, you may be putting together business plans, itineraries, that kind of things is going to be happening tonight. And feeling sentimental is also going to be purveying. So be open hearted, open minded, and just be ready for that open dialogue, because that is still very much where we're at with a Mars and Venus in Aquarius. Mercury's in Pisces, so that dialogue should come very naturally, again, doing what's natural. And I'm going to also say that upcoming is going to be a full moon in Virgo, followed by a new moon in Aries. So again, it's fighting through to that new moon in Aries. That new moon in Virgo is going to be very invigorating, and we'll find that release of the tension that's currently in the air right now. Could possibly be pinpointed to finances. It may not, but it's definitely rooted in physical, tangible have things. So whether you're not happy with what you have, or something you wanted was just out of your price range, or that kind of, you know, struggling through, like that's coming through to an end with this new moon in Aries. So look forward to that. I have to excuse myself as I dig for today's card. I got it. So today's card is the Blue Flame, and it reminds us to spontaneous awakening, activation, and integration of time, or integration time. The Blue Flame, and when we think of fire, and I was actually thinking about this the other day, when we think of fire, we usually think of like aggressive fire. We tend to put fire in a context, and even spiritually, when we think of fire from the Christian standpoint, there's hellfire and brimstone and consequence. I want to take this time to also give the elemental property of healing to fire, and the shamanic response to fire is peering into the unknown and using fire to see, what's coming, and to divine and really have foresight. Even from the Christianic, is that a word? Uh, Even from the Christianic perspective, this particular blue fire we can correlate to the same fire that spoke to Moses. When God spoke to Moses via the burning bush, was a healing, tranquil, fire where he was unafraid to approach it, and it didn't burn. That's what this blue flame is. It's the invocation of our inner dialogue, and it's the awakening of our inner self. And again, what a better day to pull a card that invokes inner resilience and healing than like on today, where our mindset is tactical retreat and tactical withdrawal. It really shows wisdom to tend to your own flame today. And again, you may be quick-witted and you want to use that fire to leave others feeling burned. And it can do that. But you utilize valuable resources that get you nowhere by doing that. So utilize your inner flame to clear the way for new growth. And listening to the divine around you, listening to the air around you, that inner voice, that inner dialogue. This is what comes next, and it will come naturally. And this is where I go silent and let you draw your own inspiration from this card. so important to reiterate that you were born ascended. You don't become ascended. You were born connected. You don't become connected. You become detached. You become broken down. You become out of alignment. Or you become made to be out of alignment, to serve the alignment of others. So reclaim it. Rekindle that inner fire. All right. And on that note, everyone, it's been a wonderful Tuesday, and I'm glad that I made it. Glad I found the motivation to, come hang out with you guys. Again, link in the description. Go follow the 5XL FM, and you can also find me on YouTube at Saturnal Kiss. I'm going to probably start adding links to all these videos, so special shout out to a good friend of mine, Debbie. Thank you for calling that out. She's like, David, where is the 5XL? I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I should add a link. But yeah, y'all stay blessed, and I will stay blessed and in bliss. I think I just tried to say those both at the same time. And I will see you guys next week. All right.